Let's just wrap up on this Mandelson episode, because there is now an important vacancy at our embassy in Washington, and that's just days before the president arrives for a state visit, the trip that Peter Mandelson was instrumental in arranging. So, how damaging is his removal for British diplomacy and that crucial relationship with the United States? Well, Lord Darroch was our man in Washington back in 2016, and he joins me now. Good morning, Kim.
Good morning.
I think perhaps we should just start by the way of reminding people of your departure from Washington.
That's very kind of you. Yes, I resigned after some confidential letters, communications to Whitehall about the performance of the Trump administration in its first 6 months were leaked by someone.
I can't remember quite how you described Donald Trump, but he didn't take kindly to it.
I think I said he was struggling in his first 6 months to deliver his electoral promises.
All right, look, we've been talking about
slightly more vivid language.
Vivid, I think, is a good diplomatic expression. We've been talking this morning about the issue of who knew what when and so on, and specifically within that, the vetting process. You must have been vetted for the post. Can you imagine how that process might have missed the extent and depth of Lord Mandelson's relationship with Jeremy Epstein, which apparently Number 10 and the FCDO did not know about on Tuesday, but did on Wednesday?
This is going to sound evasive, Trevor, but I must have been vetted several times. You get basically a rolling vetting arrangement if you have a long career as I did. And I have no idea. It's a separate unit in the Cabinet Office that does it, and it's rather closed for obvious reasons. And the process accumulates or includes an interview where they ask you a number of questions. But apart from that, I have no idea what they do or how they do it. But they've been doing this for a long, long time. I'm sure they occasionally miss things, but they do their job.
Well, look, let me put it another way. Let's suppose that there were things in your background, your life, that you didn't particularly want lots of other people to know about. Do you think that those things could be hidden from this vetting process?
Well, I think they certainly don't just ask you to fill in a form, Trevor, telling them what you want them to know and maybe conceding things you don't want them to know. They ask people about you and they look into your background through sources you may not have nominated as people to act as your referees. So they do a thorough job. I mean, they take weeks and weeks, if not longer, over individuals. Process takes a fair amount of time. So you would expect them to know quite a lot and discover things that maybe weren't advertised. On the other hand, emails from closed or old email addresses that have been closed down. I'm not enough of a technical expert on IT to know how you get to that kind of thing. So whether that would have been available to them, I have no idea, I'm afraid.
All right. How serious do you think this affair has been for the relationship with the United States, both because of the destabilising impact of it ahead of this visit, but also because of the loss of this particular individual whose talents nobody seems to doubt?
Well, of course, in Peter Mandelson's time in Washington is 8 months. He presided over what looks, in comparison to most countries' trade deals, a rather good deal for the UK. He seems to have got close to a number of important people in the White House, including the president himself. And there is a technology deal that I think he masterminded that's going to be signed during this state visit. So while the whole Epstein thing, Epstein was a monster, and it is inexplicable that he had this relationship continuing with him after the first conviction. In terms of performing his ambassadorial duties, I mean, that's quite a record for a mere 8 months in office. But don't let's overstate the importance of the ambassador. The key relationships are between the Prime Minister and the President, between the Secretary of State in America and the Foreign Secretary, between the Treasury Secretary and the Chancellor, and so on. And beneath that, there's a whole network of relationships covering the intelligence and defence and security field, not to mention all the cultural stuff, all the trade that goes on. And the ambassador is a cog in this wheel, but there's an embassy of some 500 people behind him. There will be a very experienced and effective DHM. And honestly, if I were sitting in number 10 now, I would say get a new appointment announced as quickly as possible and get someone over there. Because we live, as you know, Trevor, in very volatile times. There's a lot going on. So you do need an ambassador there, but let's not overstate, how much of an impact, the relationship will carry on with a charge in charge.
Yes. Okay. For the uninitiated DHM Deputy Head of Mission, who is a chap called Jane Frost, who's taken over. Just lastly, Kim, other than the pomp and circumstance and the photographs and family photographs and all of that, what do you think that the government really hopes to get out of this visit? And what are the risks here?
Yeah, well, Trump is fascinated by the royal family. He himself tells the story of sitting with his Scottish mother, watching the coronation of Queen Elizabeth in 1952. When he came over for the first state visit in 2019, which I was involved in, he brought his whole family, Trevor, which is like saying to them, look, I've made it. I've made it to a state visit to the UK. I've made it to Buckingham Palace. So he will absolutely love the fact that he's, I think, the only American president to have had a second state visit. And he enjoys all the pageantry, and he will revel, I think, in every moment of it. It's not an opportunity. There will be talks with Keir Starmer and no doubt an encounter with the media during those talks. So there'll be some serious business done on the issues of the day, notably Ukraine. But the time he spends with King Charles, Charles is a brilliant, accomplished diplomat. They seem to like one another. They're relatively similar in age. And I'm sure he'll enjoy all of that, and he'll enjoy the banquet, and he'll enjoy all the stuff in Windsor Park. On risks, sorry, go on.
No, I'm afraid we've got to move on, Kim, because someone is waiting to speak to us. But thank you very much for your time this morning.